Hi, my name is Cullen, and I'm a personal injury attorney in Winter Park, Florida. We talk to a lot of people who've been involved in accidents, and most of the time when people call us, we're the first lawyer that they've ever talked to about their accident, and sometimes we're the first lawyer that they've talked to ever. But sometimes we get contacted by people who have already talked to 2 or 3 lawyers and have been turned down or been told that the lawyer can't take their case. It's easy for people to lose hope about their cases, but people need to understand that lawyers turn down cases for a wide variety of reasons. One reason might be that the particular case that the person's calling about doesn't fit into whatever the lawyer's niche practice is. These days, lawyers tend to be specializing in more and more and more. And so sometimes lawyers have a very unique or special niche that they're really good at, that they feel really comfortable about. And sometimes a new phone call, a new case comes in, it's not exactly fitting into that niche. And so a lawyer turns down the case or says that he doesn't have the time to take it on or doesn't have the time to learn something new about the case so that he can do the best job that he can on a case. And so, sometimes lawyers just turn down cases for that reason. A second reason that a lawyer might turn down a case is because it's not easy enough. A lot of lawyers just want to handle cases that are going to be easy. They write a few letters. It's not super high pressure. They don't have to do much investigation. They don't have to file a lawsuit. And so, there are a lot of lawyers that run their practices like that, and that's fine too. But sometimes a case that's going to demand some investigation or demand some work is something they're really not interested in, and that's fine too, I suppose. And then some lawyers turn down cases just because there's not a high probability that they can win the case. And most personal injury lawyers work on a contingency fee, so that means that they don't get paid anything. Their firm doesn't get paid anything unless they win. So lawyers have to, I think it's reasonable for lawyers to be able to look at a case and say, what are the probabilities that we're going to ever make any money on this case or be able to ever get any compensation for our client? And if the answer to that is no, because maybe the potential client was primarily at fault for the accident, or maybe the injuries aren't very severe, or maybe there's not a tight causal connection between the accident and the injuries, then many lawyers will turn down cases like that. And I think that's very justified. And sometimes lawyers just some lawyers don't see something about a case that other lawyers do. Every lawyer is from a different background, obviously. Many of us were trained in different settings in different law firms, and so we learn things a different way. And many times some lawyers see things in potential in cases that other lawyers don't, and that's just the nature of the beast. Some lawyers see it and some don't. So on the subject of losing hope, I wanted to share with you the story of a family that Bob and I represented a few years ago. This family, they had a young man, a son, who was very badly injured in an accident that originally they didn't know what happened, but eventually it was sort of revealed or thought that the accident had to do with a machine that was defective in some way. And I can't really talk too much about the details of the case because of agreements that were made at the end of the case, but there was a belief that this machine contributed or caused this young man's very catastrophic, very serious injuries. So this family, not knowing what to do, they picked up the phone and they called the largest personal injury firm in America, which happens to be in Orlando. And anyone that lives in Orlando or lives in Florida will know this law firm from, the thousands of times they've probably seen this law firm's ads on television. Well, this law firm sends an investigator to this family's house, and he looks at this machine and asks them some questions, and they tell him, what happened. And he goes back to the office, and a day or two later in the mail, they get a turn down letter from this big, huge law firm that says, this is not the kind of case that we want to pursue on your behalf, and, have a nice day, the kind of thing. And so the family, thinking that they'd been turned down by this, large law firm, this law firm that advertises extensively and talks about how aggressive they are, this family thinks, well, we must not have a case. And so they just let the case sit. And they let it sit for months and months and months until one day the dad is at his place of work, and he's talking to one of his coworkers and explaining the issue and explaining the problem. And she suggests to him that he should call me and Bob. And so she calls us, and we go to her house, to the family's house, and we look at the machine that the other investigator looked at. But we spend some serious time there looking at it very carefully. We hear the story of what happened, And Bob and I jointly decided, this is a case that we think we can make a real difference on, and this is a case that we think we can win. And so we got involved in the case. We ended up suing several different defendants in the stream of commerce associated with this machine, and we ended up resolving the case for a little over $9 million. And this is a case that the initial law firm turned down. And so with that $9 million, we were able to put about a little over $6 million in a trust account for this injured young man. And so this amount of money is going to allow his parents to eventually retire. It's going to allow them not to have to eat up their entire savings, helping keep him alive and helping keep him safe. And it's going to allow his parents to have the peace of mind to be able to retire, spend their golden years with him, and then end their days on earth knowing that he's going to be well taken care of and have all the care that he's going to need, and to be able to receive it at home until his life is over. And so they can have the peace of mind of knowing that everything is going to be taken care of, because we were able to pursue the case and get a good result for them. And this is a case that they had lost hope on because they thought that because they got turned down by this other law firm that they didn't have a case. So the moral to the story is, if a law firm turns you down, it's not the end of the world. Please go get a second opinion. Please go talk to some other people, because somebody may have a different approach or a different way of looking at it than the original person that turned you down. If you have any questions about a potential Florida personal injury case, if you've been turned down by another lawyer or more than one lawyer, and you want to talk about it or ask questions, please reach out to us. We love to answer questions, and we love to talk to people about personal injury cases. If all you have to do is call us at 407-254-4901. You can text us at 407-644-4444, or you can even reach us through the Facebook Messenger app.